Talk about tough acts to follow. If Aria becomes a chief old person, what does that make me? Whoa. But that was great. It's not that often that although I do have 4 daughters, so tampon products have come up a few times in our household, but not that often that I actually follow it on the stage. But really delighted to be here today. We have some very good news and some bad news. The bad news is that Sandy Weil, who we expected to join us on our panel today, former CEO of Citigroup, who put together that great bank, and truly has dedicated his life to really making a better world. Carnegie Hall that he sat on the board of for many years. We'll talk more about NAF, also the former chairman of CECP that I lead today, and who has really talked about how CEOs can make a positive impact and need to make a positive impact. His wife had an accident over the weekend, so he feels that's the right place for him to be, and I think it is. But the good news is we have the leader and the CEO of NAF with us today. J.E. Hoye, come on down. Here we go.
Another old person.
I know, here we are. Here we are. Old people talking about young people. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the perfect
Awesome,
segue.
Like we
as
know.
We go forward.
Like we know.
But we've kind of been there, done that, and there is some
And
good
there's so
experience.
much similarity from where we came from to today, right?
Exactly.
Oh, yeah, so wrong.
So much. But
So
some of the
wrong.
principles are there.
Yeah.
You're from Oregon, right?
Army brat.
Okay.
So
all right.
from everywhere.
From everywhere. Okay.
There we go. But yes, professionally started my career in Oregon.
That's great. That's great.
My
And
great contribution to
been
the
in-
country is teaching people how to say the name of the state. A lot of people call it Oregon. So just, it's Oregon.
There's no guns. No guns.
No guns.
Okay, all right,
Okay.
good.
Well, there are a lot of guns, but not.
Great.
not
But so great to have you here. You've been working in education throughout your career.
Yes.
I mean, that's it. And doing some exciting things today with NAF.
Right.
A little bit about your background. You've been in government roles. You've been in other nonprofits.
I have a really hard time holding down a job. Yeah.
And now with NAF, talk to us a little bit about that. And
Sure.
Why you're doing
So history for me, I started as an at-risk youth counselor in Oregon, and was taken by the power of the marketplace and of industry transforming young people who had been left behind or disconnected with their re-engagement in a future.
Okay.
So just was powerfully driven to understand that young people have a lot to offer. But the system, if we can call it a system in education, doesn't necessarily inspire that. Okay. And many leave. And so the experience in that setting taught me a lot about what needed to change in education. And at the heart of that has always been this powerful partnership opportunity between education and industry to really get it right for pipeline for the industry, dreams and aspirations for the young person, and collectively building greater communities for more people. So started there, and NAF started around the same period of time. Now, it used to be called the National Academy Foundation. And Sandy started this almost 40 years ago.
So Sandy, he was the CEO of Citigroup at the time. Creating a great, huge bank.
Even before that.
Even before that.
So I think what Sandy saw as an industry leader, and he's a guy that sees a problem and wants to fix it, was what we still see too much of today, which is this disconnect between back office, high-performing, high-technology job needs, talent needs, and young people disconnected, uninformed, don't know what they want to do, don't know where to go. And for Sandy, it was about, how do I fix this? This is ridiculous. And in his mind, the fixing it was not waiting to just have a college-ready conversation, but to get career readiness deeper into the high school setting. So he decided he wanted to build an academy structure that would make high school relevant to the industries that were hiring. Okay. And he started with financial services because that was his background.
That was his background.
Right. And now it's expanded to 5 different themes in health sciences and technology and engineering and all those things.
Because one of the challenges, I think, for CEOs who are looking at it, they're often not thinking about high school or maybe even 9th graders in terms of thinking about the workforce development. They're thinking about people coming out of school.
Huge challenge.
That's
huge
a
challenge.
big gap, right?
Big gap.
Yeah.
I mean, my board, which because of Sandy, is primarily sitting CEOs. So of major companies who are feeling this pipeline challenge. And the big challenge is, from my understanding, is I should be working with HR folks, right? I mean, they're the ones that do all the hiring, right? Open all the jobs. And of course, my board members sit down and go, JD, if you want a yes, never go to HR, right?
Yeah, unless you want stuff, people say no.
Yeah, right. So,
other than lawyers, those are the two. That's
so
where you get
the big challenge is we've got a belief system problem in the system that says high school's too young, too many legal issues, they don't contribute to the bottom line, it's too hard. But at the end of the day, these are your future consumers. They can provide, just as Aria said, great insight to product, to desire, to design, to what they will desire, and they can speak for your future consumer in your marketplace. We have great examples of young people who were on the precipice of dropping out or failing in the system, who succeeded and actually had the greatest quote. Was at a conference about a year ago. It was a young man who'd done an internship with Verizon. And he was going on and had decided to move into engineering and get a degree in engineering. And he goes, you know, I may not go to work for Verizon, but I'll always have a Verizon phone. There is a loyalty connection between that industry and that young person because of the opportunity they afforded him in designing his path forward.
Okay, great. Now, we work at CECP with CEOs across the country, hundreds of CEOs.
Sure.
And I would say over the last couple of years, the issue that has really risen to the top is how do we attract the workforce of the future?
Okay.
I mean, the numbers and the stats are pretty staggering. Unemployment now at 3.8% in the US, 3.8%. I know somebody in Washington, I think when they were running for office, said it was at 42% just 2 years ago. So amazing the impact that the administration has made on that.
Quote.
At 3.8% now. What's interesting, though, is that our workforce participation, that's people of age who are working, is about 60, I just looked it up today, 62.7%. That used to be in the upper 60s. So we do still have a gap there, even though unemployment is low. And that's a real challenge for companies. They cannot find workers in construction roles, in retail. Even though we talk about retail disappearing, there are not enough people in these roles. Financial services is actually at the top of the list that companies can't find. So this is now a real issue that CEOs are seeing. Some of them could have predicted it because of the demographics, right? The baby boomers are leaving the workforce at a greater rate than the Z generation is joining. This is obviously some sort of a sign.
I don't know.
I don't know. That's right. Yeah, it was a thing. It was a gift.
Is this broken? This working? Okay.
Is that good? Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But this is a big issue now for companies. Is that what you're hearing and seeing from the company you're talking
I think this is one of those skills they're testing us to see, even though we may be an old person, is whether we're flexible enough to
with
adjust.
this new technology?
Yeah.
Exactly right.
New technology.
But we can lay down here and have it like this. This would work fine. Yeah.
It's a masterful test.
That's right.
Anyway,
the physical humor always seems to work.
Yeah,
it's not
true.
everybody's comfortable.
So,
with that.
I mean, I think the message, where Sandy's sitting here, and I know he very, very much wanted to be here. He, over and over in all of his conversations, he worries about industry looking for quick fixes. Mm-hmm. And he worries that...
Industry? Quick fixes?
that people don't respect how long it takes to shift major systems like schools, like education. And that without corporate leadership that can take a longer view and walk it back to building an opportunity for real partnerships where people aren't telling each other what to do, but both leaning in on solving a problem for impact and really measuring that. I think Sandy's demonstrated in lots of his philanthropy that the long view with goals, with full partnership, not just throwing money at the problem, but volunteerism, changing the culture of your company by employees working with high school students. People like to talk about what they do, and they love it when young people actually appreciate what they do. There's a win-win opportunity that we don't just leave the problem of preparing the next future workforce to somebody else. That it has to be a team approach.
I mean, it is kind of the ultimate R&D project, right? I mean, a 14-year-old going to join the workforce, maybe 23, 24 after school, what have you. That's like a 10-year R&D project. And a lot of time, and I can assure you with 14-year-olds, there's some ups and downs along that process.
A few.
Right? Yeah. yeah. I mean, with some products, you get rid of them, but a little harder to do with 15 and
Yeah.
16-year-olds.
You don't want to fail fast with
You don't want
kids.
to fail fast, right? We got to give them a shot.
That's
They're
right.
going to kind of be the future.
Exactly right.
Where do you find the age? Where is the key sweet spot?
So in our design, and this isn't, I say our royally because Sandy really thought this through, there are a couple of elements that are critical. One, there is key knowledge. Instruction is important. Teachers matter. Learning matters. But if it is in a standalone, isolated way, without relevance or context, or the ability to apply why I need to know it and how I will use it, there's a loss factor in terms of, besides rote memorization, and being able to pass a test, that kids can't take it forward. And if they're not good test takers, they feel like they're failing every time if it's a rote process. So bringing real content from industry, making it industry relevant, hands-on, really working a problem through that is applied in a real way, not a hypothetical way. I mean, when you and I went to school, you know, we were asked on math, right? That train going to New York at one speed and the one coming from New York to Chicago. You know, I have never been able to apply that. That mathematical equation. But it was an educator's attempt to make my learning relevant.
Sure.
Well, we have industry opportunities now that are amazing to make that same kind of equation relevant and actually useful for retention. So content's important. Bringing industry, what do they need to know and be able to do is important. And turning those into real projects in the classroom helps teachers, helps students, it's great. But it needs a partner. It can't be make-believe. And the second thing that we know is critical is they have to actually see it. I can't, what's the saying? I can't be it if I can't see it.
That's it. All right, great.
Right, so how in the educational experience from, in our case, 9th grade to 12th grade, is there a set of experience of exposure that young people can actually see the workplace, see what's happening, see the people that look like them in the settings? And if Sandy were sitting here in this community, he would say to all of us, we have to do something about the diversity or lack thereof in our industries. We have got to do something that recruits people of color to our industries. They represent our future, but they can't see themselves right now in these industries. We have to do something about that.
We have to reach out further.
And then lastly, he would say, between about the junior and senior year in high school, a paid internship matters.
Okay, so you can get people in.
It's not just volunteerism. Money matters. If you're working in low-income communities, money matters. And getting paid for a good piece of work is hugely rewarding to young people in terms of imagining of what they can do. So paid internships for high school students is fundamental to the design. And a lot of companies go, yeah, wait till they get to college. But our companies would say to you universally, they have college interns and they have high school interns. If those high school interns go through an academy's program or design, they would put them up against any of their college interns. They can be as valuable, as good, and as creative, and they'll get a better start in college. Because at the end of the day, college is a very expensive career exploration event, right? You should know.
Anybody feel that one? Yeah, that's right. Anybody still paying for that?
Yeah.
Right?
You should know why you're there, what you want to get.
Sure. Give me a story. I mean, you talked about St. Louis when we spoke.
Right.
And maybe a story, and then maybe for the group here as we wind down, maybe a call to action, but maybe a story here that kind of brings it together.
So St. Louis is a great example of a city with some challenges in terms of dropout rates.
Dropout rates. Huge issues there a couple of years ago with Ferguson.
Huge issues there. Huge diversity issues and challenge with violence and race. And a leader in their community, a business leader, David Stewart with Worldwide Technology, a big technology company that was emerging and growing very fast, wanted to do something significant from a leader perspective and created something in the community called the Global Leadership Forum, which was bringing together community leaders from the United Way, Chamber of Commerce, a bunch of business groups, basically say, how do we solve this problem? I mean, we are a great community. We have great people. We have great heart. We have great culture, but we are failing in terms of our kids are leaving or they're dropping out or they're in prison. The pathway right now is to prison. And he leaned in hard, met Sandy, met a variety of people on our board and said, let's bring this academy model to the St. Louis system and see what we can do. And that was 3 years ago. And now we can't keep up with the growth. And the student adjustment in graduation rates has been phenomenal.
Wow.
They're approaching 90% now. They were sitting in the 60s. The leadership around communities believing that schools are worthy to partner with has fundamentally shifted. So anyway, there are tons of stories on our website. I would ask you to take out your phone and actually go to naf.org/SSI18. Get more
Say that one again.
information.
Say that one again.
Do I have to?
Yeah.
naf.org/SSI18.
18, okay.
And there's a lot of information. There's ways, in little ways and in big ways, that any company, any employee can partner with schools in a meaningful way and address the problems you're feeling as a company right now, while at the same time doing wonderful things for young people in this country. Thank you all very much.
Very good. Very good. Thank you.